Hello. Hi, my name is Daniel He, and I'll be presenting my final visualization project. And my topic is GMAT scores and GPA ranges and how they compare against 13 US business schools in terms of MBA admissions. So why I picked this topic, I'm sort of interested and I've been thinking about considering going to business school later on. So since I'm probably going to be taking the GMAT, or I want to know where I stand in terms of admissions. Uh, and these schools range between top 10 schools and as well as top 50 schools. And this is done so we can better see the difference between each one. I got my data from GMAT Club, which is a forum. And it provides statistics from real GMAT MBA applicants. So right here of all the schools, and I went to each one for my sample and got GPA ranges as well as average GMAT scores. And here I used Tableau for my visualization. I used a horizontal bar as my graph type. For my version of this type of graph, I used school as my dimension, and then GMAT and GPA as my measures. I also used the school dimension to mark and filter different colors, and as well as to show a legend, so each school is correlated to its own color. And for my columns here, I used school and GPA, as well as for my rows, I displayed the GMAT scores. So some of the most interesting findings in my visualization is the difference between some schools and other schools. When I was compiling the data within Excel, I didn't notice that there would be like a significant difference between these schools. But when I minimized the range on the y-axis here to 650 to 730, I immediately noticed that a few schools' bars were significantly lower than the others. This is sort of surprising, but before we get there, I also noticed that there was a very good correlation, an obvious proportional correlation, and that is the higher the GMAT score, the higher the GPA. So number one, I have Stanford as the highest GMAT school with 732, and as well as the highest GPA range of 3.74. So there's a direct correlation. So I can assume that the school with the higher GMAT also has a higher GPA. Similarly, the second school with the highest GMAT score is 3.67 Harvard, and the GPA score will pretty much always be higher than another school with a lower GMAT score. So it seems like the higher the GMAT score, the higher the GPA, the lower the GMAT score, the lower the GPA. I found this incredibly surprising because I thought that the data would be much more variable, considering that I believe the MBA admissions would be much more flexible in terms of numbers, and they would also consider I thought there would be a scenario where there would be a school with a high GMAT score but significantly lower GPA score, as they didn't care too much about GPA. So another very surprising aspect is right here. I didn't notice that Smith, University of Maryland College Park, would be such significantly lower than the others. When I was compiling my data in Excel, I didn't really notice, but when I put it on this graph, it's obviously much more different, and that was one of the things I noticed. And it also has the lowest GPA of 3.33.